been the toughest to train?
Each one is different, is what I would say. And for me, the biggest challenge was to figure out how to train whom and at what time. Mostly the amount of time I spent was more of a challenge than the person whom I would. But Saina has been tough, I think, of the players whom you can talk about. Saina had a great quality, but also a stubbornness which made her tough to train. Shrikant is extremely nice, but he has a different kind of a challenge. You need to kind of shake them out because they're just comfortable doing things within their present mindset. So to change that attitude, but I think one of the biggest challenges for a coach is when your athletes get good results doing wrong things, and that becomes the biggest problem for you. So failure is important, and sometimes failure gives you or makes you learn more than actual success does.
So over the generations, if you had to say one thing very critical about the younger generation, about this generation that you're training, and one of the best things about this generation, what would it be?
Plus for this generation is when we went for the Olympics in 2000, we were all part of it. Almost 90 to 95% of us didn't believe that we would win a medal. And we were happy to travel there, collect memorabilia, and then we were happy being at the Olympics, clicking snaps and storing images for the future. But when you go to the Olympics, whether we win medals or not, like we only won 2 last time, but 90% of the team believed that they had a chance to win at the Olympics, and they went there to win. And mindset is something which the young generation you will have to give. I think that's something which is very important because for me, we were in awe of the Western world and China and Australia and stuff. But today, the confidence of the younger generation is way too much. So they have a lot of, in a way, pride, a bit of arrogance, which is sometimes good in sport.
Sudhir, have you seen what he was talking about, this younger generation thing, taking again from Ridhima's question? Over the last 9 months, have you seen a change in the mindset? Have you seen a change in mindset of people across age groups and more people getting sort of realizing the importance of meditation and meshing it with physical training? Have you seen that? Have you seen any positive coming out of COVID?
Buri, I would say, the desire for learning yoga, practicing yoga, meditation may be born out of desire to be more fit and more successful, desire to be more competitive. But whatever may be the motivation, whatever may be the desire, as people practice it, they start liking it. There is also a transformation in their character, in their core, which slowly starts taking place. So even though the practice of yoga itself may be born out of very competitive spirit, very selfish spirit, but slowly the element of feeling, the element of love that we had discussed in the beginning, that it's not only about success or desire to compete, it's also about liking it and loving it. People start liking yoga, people start loving yoga, it becomes a part of their lives, and it almost becomes like an addiction for many, or go-to point or place of sustenance. So if yoga and meditation is the go-to place and their point of sustenance, I think that is a very, very good and positive change which is coming in all across all age groups, be it very young people, college students, or middle-aged working people, working professionals. I think that's a very positive, constructive change which is coming in. And the another point I would like to mention is that I think we should be supporting Indian yoga teachers more and Indian meditation teachers more, because West should not be teaching us what is our own, and what they teach us usually is not just repackaged, but it's I think partly fabricated also in alignment with their culture and ethos. So I think let yoga remain with our culture and ethos, and we should be, taking it across to people, and people should be following us rather than we following people.
Gopi, when say an Abhinav is shooting an Olympic final, and obviously his heart rate has gone up and tension has gone up and the whole hall and people screaming, or Sindhu is locked at 19 all. If you are a trained mental athlete, I mean, who's done mental training, will that help him or her the most at such points? Or even you as coach, you need clarity of thought sitting behind to tell your athlete what to do when she's locked 19 all, 2 to go, an Olympic medal on the cards. Is that where all of these things come together? And can this new app also help high performance athletes?
I think one of the things is that the clarity of thought would be very important, because sport is not only about winning or pride or all of that, but it's actually being free spirited and being playful. Because if you tend to play safe, then you kind of risk everything. So it's kind of very important that you're playful even at the highest level. So it needs a sense of relaxation. It also needs a sense of clarity on your thought, at the thought level. The other aspect is that the more you rehearse it, and this is where visualization as a technique can come in handy, and the more you visualize it, to go through the motions in your mind prior, then when you actually are facing the situation, you're more at calm or at peace, taking a decision at that point of time. I think it's very important to be playful, even at the highest level, and you should be okay to fail. And that's
Are you playful when coaching?
Of course I am. I think when I'm sitting there, all the effort is done. And when you go out there and sit, the two things which I tell myself, in the sense, if I am tense, I should not add to the pressure of the player. I should actually be able to take it away. So my expressions and my heart should not actually add on to the pressure of the player. The second thing is, I think only if you are playful, you will be able to risk it. If you're too stiff, you will be played safe and predictable, which is the last thing you want in sport. So you want to be playful about it. So there's a certain amount of relaxation and playfulness, even at the highest level, which you will need to do. And a certain amount of risk-taking ability, which is very, very important.
Between success and failure, there are times when, whether it's an athlete or whether it's layman, there's a sense of saturation. There is a sense of numbness where you don't have any motivation to move forward, or you don't even feel the failure. How does one break from that resilience that one feels in that kind of a situation? And have you had someone that you've trained where they've suddenly started lacking motivation and want to be just where they are?
I think comfort is what, as a coach, you don't want the players to feel. So just put them in places where they are uncomfortable, because growth happens when you move out of the comfort zone. So in training, it's a very important aspect that you move and vary things so that you are moving out of the comfort zone. The second important thing is competition. So we need competition, because people might be happy. I am India #1 is a happy space to be in. But if you have, I don't need to perform at the world level, is also a decently happy space to be in, because I'm still the best in the country. But if you have somebody charging at your heels from beneath, then the pride starts to feel, and so I can't lose to this fellow. And then the internal competition makes you push each other, and then you get to the highest level. But truly, this kind of competition is only second best. The best is when you want to be the best of what you can be and push your own. And that's when you look at people like Federers, you just see them go after their own records. and keep pushing themselves. So that's the space where you want to be, because you're loving what you do, and you want to be the best of what you can be. And that's a space which is a happy space of competition.
Sudhir, will this thing, according to you, from what you've seen, is a permanent change? Or do you see fickleness again? I mean, do you see this consciousness of using yoga more, meditation more, mental strength more, a positive that, humanity, or India at least, will take out of COVID from your own experience of the last 10 years? That's question for you. Gopi, 2021. 21, yes, Tokyo. Now give us a real sense. 6 months, 7 months. We are seeing Sindhu in London, Saina recovering. Some of these men players also recovering. Give us a sense. Can 21 actually give us an Olympic medal in badminton? Do you see potential there? How about you? When are you going to start going to events again? Give us a sense of 2021 for you. I'm sure you've got in mind a mental calendar. So first Sudhir and then Gopi.
First of all, I just hope the world doesn't remain the same and it changes for the better, because there is so much need for the world to change for the better in terms of what is our lifestyle, what we consume, how we think, how we perceive, how we act, how we behave. There has to be a complete radical change in our country and everywhere else. The pandemic has once again convinced us more than ever that world is absolutely connected, and what happens to one, nobody else remains insulated from the same. And my feeling is, I have no data to justify this, that people are going to be leaning more towards a healthy lifestyle. They are going to be more hooked to yoga and meditation, because anybody who has gone through like World War I or World War II will know that life never can be the same. They cannot take everything for granted. So anybody who has gone through 2020 will, I don't think, take life, their lifestyle, their success, their happiness, their family, anything for granted. So they are going to be looking for something beyond mundane. It is not that they will not indulge in anything mundane, but they will for sure want to have a routine, foundation, which is not just very, very fleeting. So no matter what happens, there has to be something within their body and their mind space that nobody can steal. So I think our country and the world is going to get hooked to yoga and meditation more and more.
Gopi?
2021 is going to be an interesting year. How we come out of the pandemic would be critical. As far as the Olympics are concerned, I do believe that the four players, whether it's Satwik, Chirag, Shrikant and Sindhu, do definitely have a chance for a medal at the Olympics. Having said that, Saina's qualification would be a challenge, but if she qualifies, definitely I think Saina would also, with 3 months of training, be a definite prospect, because at the Olympics you will have the experience counting and the grit counting. So definitely she would be. The challenging part would be to qualify for the Olympics. As far as I am concerned, the last 8 months, and honestly, without the travel and the amount of time I could spend, and I completely agree with Sudhir that this has actually been a really good time for me to connect with players and also connect with myself. So the last few months have been good, and I believe Indian badminton is poised for greater things in the future. We might have a lull in the next couple of years, 3-4 years, but I do believe that the Indian badminton has a lot to offer, and in the years to come and decades to come will be really big in the world of badminton.
So with the Olympics not happening this year, how did our athletes handle it?
2004, this fellow had no money. So he was just entering coaching. And where would he get the money from? So if you ask him, he would tell you that he had won All England. He would go to people and ask for money. And when you are meeting an All England champion, you take a photo, you take an autograph, you do all the usual jazz that we do, right, with celebrities. So people would first do that. And after a while, and this is Gopi talking, not me, he would say, Arey, people would tell me, phir aa gaya paisa maang. Bhag jao yaar isse. They would stop taking his calls. He said, whatever little self-esteem I had, I lost. So at one point, that was my life. So I went home, and the only thing I could do was mortgage our house. So I mortgaged our house, got 3 crore rupees to set up the academy. At just that time, my mother was diagnosed of second stage cancer, and I had my child. So that's what the family went through, Vidima. 2004, 5, 6, 7. And not one media channel, us, entered the academy to do a story. 2008, Saina making quarterfinals of Beijing, things changed. That's Pullela Gopichand. Not without reason do I say these things. I'm glad he did listen. Gopi's back. Gopi, Ridhima asked you that final question.
For me, this has been a tough year for sports persons in general. For the top players, if you lose 1 year in a peak period, or even if it's a 10-year career and you lose 1/10 of that, I think it's professions where you probably have a lot more time. But my concern would be for a lot of the younger players and the second rung who actually would have lost. If you're an under 15 kid and this is your last year to win the under 15 state championship or a district or a nationals or a world championship, you've missed the time, and you probably can never get that back again in your life. So I think there's a lot of changes. It also shows who the true champions are and who will come out stronger, because the pandemic would have wiped out many, but also it would have given strength to many. So how you come out of it is critical. And for that, I think what Sudhir said, and yoga and meditation can have a huge impact during this time.
So as we close, when am I, Ridhima and Sudhir getting the ring? Are you couriering it or not?
Yes, I think in the next week you will get it.
Okay, so that's on record. Huh? Otherwise,
we're going
to go back to Sports Gopi and send the clip and put it on social media. Though he's not there, we'll say Gopi promised us our New Year gifts but has not given. He's the Santa Claus to give us our Christmas gifts. So Ridhima, your job is to collate all addresses and send it to him.
It's a deal. It is a deal. But sir, thank you so much. Thank you so much for making time for us. Thank you so much, Sudhir, for making time for us. And I have to tell you, I think this is one of the interviews where I really have learned something that is probably going to impact my life as well. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks.
Gopi, let's resume our 4 a.m. chats, yaar. I miss it. Trust me, twice a week to hear your voice in the morning and getting me going with my academic work. We should start that again. Trust me, you are an absolute champion. Thank you very much for being who you are, Gopichand. More strength to you.
Thank you to all our viewers who tuned in. And if this hasn't moved you and motivated you, I don't know what will. Thank you so much, and stay tuned to Sports Today for many, many more engaging, entertaining, and of course, informative stories like this.